A couple is going on a special date, in a special restaurant on a mysterious island. Later it is revealed that this is no ordinary restaurant, and all the guests are here to pay for their mistakes. This is the recap of the movie, The Menu. Spoiler alerts, watch out, and take care. The film opens with Margot, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Tyler, Nicholas Hoult, waiting on a dock for a boat to take them to an island. She notes the boat small and he says they only have 12 guests. They make a profit by charging $1,250 a head. We meet some of the other guests. Lillian Bloom, Janet McTeer, is a food critic. She is accompanied by her husband, Ted, Paul Adelstein. There are also 3 tech brothers who are rowdy, all bragging about their expertise on hedge funds and cryptocurrency. They board the boat and the captain greets them, telling them it's a 30-minute boat ride to Hawthorne. A movie star, John Leguizamo, boards the boat, complaining that his assistant, Felicity, Amy Carrero. Everyone is given a small bite to start the journey. Tyler is quick to take a picture before Margot and him eat. He describes it in a hoity-toity way. Margot is unenthused. The boat arrives on the island, and everyone deboards and is greeted by servers and house staff on the deck. All of the 12 guests are lounging at an expanse behind the restaurant. Elsa welcomes the others and tells them they're going to be a part of a unique story told with the menu. They're shown the smokehouse where they're told the dairy cow meat is aged for 152 days. Elsa explains that the staff is like a family working on a common mission to run the world's finest restaurant. As they continue across the lawn to the restaurant, Tyler asks about a cottage on a hill. Elsa says it's where the chef lives, but even the staff isn't allowed inside. The door to the restaurant is opened, a large square in the wall that opens outwardly, and they all enter. Everyone is given a little wine to start out. Chef 괡ᴏ, Ralph Fiennes, appears in the kitchen. He's brooding and intense. He tastes the dish they're about to serve and approves. All the servers then begin to serve the amuse-bouche, which we're told in a title card, as if on a menu. Tyler takes a photo and Margot points out he's not supposed to. They both try the food and Tyler ravishes it, but Margot isn't as impressed by the experience. The group is given the first course, called the island. The plate is made up of various plants from the island placed on rocks from the shore and covered in barely frozen seawater. Chef 괡ᴏ introduces himself and tells the group over the next few hours, they will ingest fat, salt, sugar, protein, bacteria, fungi, various plants and animals, entire ecosystems. He asks if they will do him a favor and not eat. Instead, they taste, savor, relish. Chef stares at Margot. Tyler notices and wonders if Chef is staring at him. Margot turns and sees, making eye contact with him. The chef shouts that they're plating in 5 and the entire kitchen shouts back, "Yes, chef," in unison. Next, everyone is given bread service. A title note reads, "Breadless bread plate." Everyone is offended by this. The movie star tries the creams. Lillian Bloom laughs it off as the chef being keenly aware of food as a history of class while still preserving his sense of the delicious. She complains that the emulsion on one of the sauces is broken, while her husband concurs. Tyler snaps another photo of the food. Margot doesn't understand why he's so into it. Back at Lillian's table, she goes on and on about how she makes her own bread and even her own yeast. They are interrupted when Elsa brings a larger container of the broken emulsion that Lillian complained about, courtesy of Chef 괡ᴏ. Elsa is called over by the Tech brothers. They complain that they understand all the conceptual stuff but they would like some bread because Hawthorne is super famous for it. Elsa tells them, no. The chef comes over and asks Margot why she isn't eating. She says, "I guess I don't want to fill up early." The chef says, "That would not be possible. Please eat." We see an old woman, having no food at her table, she simply has a glass of wine. The chef claps and they are told they are going to have the next course, called Memory. He tells the group a memory about growing up and points to the old woman, telling them it is his mother. His parents fought and his father wrapped a telephone cord around his mom's neck. To get him to stop, the chef as a child stabbed him in the thigh with kitchen scissors. They're all given a small chicken thighs with tiny scissors sticking out of them, along with plates fashioned with tightly coiled telephone cords and bowls of tortillas. The tortillas all have images on them. Lillian notices hers have restaurants that were all closed after she gave bad reviews. The Tech brothers seize document that expose them for committing fraud. The movie star's tortillas are all the poster of a goofy movie he did a long time ago simply for the money. At Tyler's table, the tortillas are pictures of him trying to snap photos of his meals in secret earlier that night. He is worried the chef is mad at him and wonders if he should apologize. Margot says, they're the ones who should apologize. She tries to wave over a server but Tyler snaps at her, saying you don't send things back there, you thank them for even letting you in the door. Margot is offended and gets up to leave. She heads to a hallway where an elaborate silver door. Before she can enter, Elsa appears and asks if she needs help. Margot says she's looking for the ladies' room and is pointed in that direction. Inside the ladies' room, Margot smokes a cigarette on top of a toilet, while looking out a slab. A pair of angel wings are being prepared on the lawn. The chef enters the bathroom and asks Margot what she's doing there. She says it's the ladies' room. He responds, I mean here on this island, you little fool. You're not supposed to be here. Margot was a last-minute replacement and he wants to know if she's one of them or one of us. He leaves, confusing Margot. For the fourth course, two servers unroll a tarp across the middle of the floor. The chef goes to explain the next course. Chef continues, introducing the staff to his sous chef, Jeremy, who created the next dish, the mess. Jeremy stands at attention beside him while the chef explains that Jeremy desperately wants my job, my prestige. Isn't that right, Jeremy? Jeremy responds, yes, chef. He works 20 hours a day. He has no time for friends or family. His entire life is service and pressure to put out the best food in the world. Chef tells the group, ladies and gentlemen, your fourth course, sous chef Jeremy's mess. Chef takes a step back. Jeremy removes a pistol from his waistband and blows his brains out. Everyone begins screaming and panicking. Richard gets up to leave and Elsa asks if anything is wrong. Richard tells her he's leaving. Elsa says, there is no boat to leave on. Richard tells her, I'll handle this. Elsa asks, with which hand will you handle it? Your left or your right? Richard doesn't answer so she says she will choose and orders the servers to cut off Richard's left ring finger. Elsa tells the room if anyone tries to leave, they will lose an appendage. Lillian Bloom is convinced this is a stunt for her benefit, her husband agrees. Elsa asks Margot to join the chef in the kitchen. In the kitchen, chef tells Margot she's ruining his menu and asks why she's there. He tells her he can tell she's not one of them. He asks if she is with us or them. She asks, if I answer you, will I get to live? And the chef says, no, we're all going to die tonight. Do you want to die with those who give? Or those who take? He gives her a kitchen timer and says she has 15 minutes to decide. Margot goes back to her table. Tyler is jealous she got a kitchen course. Chef returns and tells everyone, are there any questions about me? The movie star asks why this was happening. The chef says some of them were chosen because of what they've done or were complacent bystanders. He points out that Lillian Bloom's reviews damaged many chefs' livelihoods. A huge container of broken emulsion is then brought out for her. The Tech brothers interject that it's not his restaurant, ꜱଘᴜᴜ is the owner. Chef confirms that ꜱഘᴜᴜ owns both the restaurant and the island. Through the glass window looking out to the lawn, a light is shown on a man, ꜱഘᴜᴜ, wearing the angel wings we saw earlier, his hands tied behind him, held up by a pulley rope over the sea. Doug is slowly dropped into the sea, left to drown. Margot's timer goes off. She's brought back into Chef's office and asked if she made her decision. She reveals that she is an escort and since Tyler needed a date, he hired her to accompany him. She also notes that she knows Richard given he once hired her to dress up as his daughter while he jerked off and had her say things as if she was her. The chef thinks she should be with the staff as they're the people who have been subjugated. The group is brought outside for their next course. The chef introduces them to his sous chef Catherine, who will present the next dish. Catherine tells the crowd, 2 years ago, Chef Julian Slowik tried to fuck me. I refused his advances. He didn't fire her, during which time male cooks rose above me in the ranks. So she will show them what true humiliation looks like in the next course called ᴅᴏ宜ᴛ. Catherine takes a small paring knife and stabs it into Chef Slowik's thigh. They then hug. The knife pulled from his thigh. The group is told that the men will be hunted and given a 45-second head start to hide. Some take off running. At 45 seconds, all the male servers run into the woods, trying to find them. The women are led back inside the restaurant as the chase goes on. When the men are found, they're beaten and then brought back inside. Tyler is the last man to be found, hiding in the smokehouse instead of running through the woods, and is given an extra dish as reward. The chef now points out, "I'm afraid the menu tonight can't continue as planned until we deal with an unresolved matter." The chef explains why Tyler hasn't been shocked by that night's events, as he's been told in advance that everyone was going to die. He then points out Tyler mentioned that he's a great cook at home and invites him to make the next meal. Tyler is brought into the kitchen to make his own dish, once again on the timer. Tyler plates the dish. The chef tries it and playfully pretends to like it before pointing out how atrocious it is. Tyler feels ashamed. He is led to the back, in chef's office, to be dealt with. The chef tells them they have one savory course left on the menu and must prepare for dessert. He tells Margot she will go to the smokehouse to fetch the barrel. Margot is given the key to the smokehouse. On her way out, she sees Tyler, hanging by a noose, dead in the chef's office. Margot goes out in the lawn and makes her way into the smokehouse. She quickly finds the barrel but first grabs a scaling knife off the wall. Through the window, she sees the chef's cottage. Margot enters the chef's cottage to find it's a replica of the restaurant's kitchen. In this one, there is also a silver door. Elsa appears in the cottage and tells her, she is making her job difficult. They have a huge scuffle around the cottage with Margot using the knife she had pillaged. At the end, Elsa is stabbed to death. Margot takes the key off Elsa and enters the silver room to find a secret room with stacks of cookbooks and photos of the chef throughout his career, ending on a newspaper picture of him flipping burgers at a local restaurant, seemingly happier than he is now. Margot notices a radio on the shelf and calls out for the Coast Guard. Back in the restaurant, Margot enters with the barrel. A small boat arrives and the Coast Guard makes his way to the restaurant. The chef admires Margot for having found the radio and orders the dining room be cleared. The Coast Guard tells the chef he's heard there was a disturbance. The chef denies this and nobody in the room speaks up. He then recognizes the movie star and says he's a fan. The chef asks if he'd like his autograph. The officer turns to exit and then turns back around, pointing his gun at the chef. The room starts begging for help. The Coast Guard points his gun but then turns it to Margot. The gun is actually a lighter and he uses it to light the extinguished candle. The chef reveals he's one of them and then tells Margot he's decided she's now an eater, a taker, an animal like all the rest. The group is now told they're getting their final course. Chocolate is poured out on the floor. Margot shouts that she doesn't like the chef's food. The chef comes to her table and says, "I'm very sorry." She points out the food wasn't made with love. The chef is defensive and says love is the most important ingredient in all his food. Margot tells him the hot dishes were cold, there's no personality, only concepts. The chef asks how hungry she is. And she tells him she's starved. He asks what she wants and she tells him a cheeseburger. The chef promises to make the best cheeseburger she's ever had. The next meal is listed as cheeseburger, it's presented to Margot. She takes a bite. She agrees it's great. But explains her eyes are bigger than her stomach and wants the rest to go. The chef arranges for her to get a to-go bag. He thanks Margot for dining at Hawthorne. She puts $10 on the table and heads out to leave. In the restaurant, everyone is given the bill before the dessert is presented. Everyone pays the bill as normally. The chef tells everyone that it's the most boring of all desserts, a traditional campfire classic, cheap chocolate, marshmallow. The floor is covered in chocolate sauce and graham cracker crumbs, and then the entire room is lit on fire. Outside, Margot gets to the Coast Guard's boat. She struggles to get it to turn on but finally does and is able to cruise over the water back to the dock she boarded from hours earlier. Inside Hawthorne, everyone is on fire and all the staff and guests are dying. On the dock, Margot opens the to-go bag. She takes the cheeseburger and begins eating it. She reaches in and pulls out a replica of the menu they've had that night, which we've seen in titles throughout the film.